believes is right. Today we're diving into the explosive confrontation that had everyone talking, where Jennifer Lopez found herself in the crosshairs of a heated exchange that would change everything. This isn't just another celebrity feud. This is about standing up for what you believe in, even when the cameras are rolling and millions are watching. Make sure to subscribe and drop a comment below because you won't believe what unfolds. The studio lights were blazing hot that Tuesday morning as Jennifer Lopez settled into the guest chair on The View. She had come prepared to discuss her latest projects, her upcoming tour, and maybe share some insights about her journey in the entertainment industry. What she didn't expect was to walk into what felt like an interrogation disguised as an interview. Whoopi Goldberg, sitting in her familiar spot at the head of the table, had that look in her eyes that the regular viewers knew all too well. It was the look that said she had something on her mind, and she wasn't going to let it slide. The other co-hosts seemed to sense the tension building, exchanging glances as they shuffled their note cards. "So, Jennifer," Whoopi began, her voice carrying that authoritative tone that had become her trademark. "Let's talk about your recent comments regarding working mothers in Hollywood. You said something that I found quite interesting." Jennifer shifted slightly in her seat, maintaining her composure. She had expected questions about her work, but the way Whoopi phrased this felt loaded. "I simply shared my experience about balancing motherhood and career demands. I think it's important for women to support each other in these challenges." Whoopi leaned forward, her expression growing more intense. "But here's what bothers me about your statement. You talked about how difficult it is to be a working mother, but you have nannies, personal assistants, and a whole team of people helping you. How can you relate to the single mother working 2 jobs just to make ends meet?" The question hung in the air like a challenge. Jennifer could feel the shift in the room's energy. This wasn't going to be the friendly promotional interview she had anticipated. "I understand that I'm privileged, and I've never claimed otherwise. But that doesn't invalidate the emotional challenges that come with being away from your children for work, regardless of your circumstances." "Oh, please," Whoopi interrupted, waving her hand dismissively. "Let's be real here. You're talking about missing bedtime stories while flying in private jets. Meanwhile, there are mothers who can't even afford bedtime stories because they're working night shifts. It's tone-deaf, Jennifer." Jennifer felt her jaw tighten, but she kept her voice steady. "I think you're misunderstanding what I was trying to say. I wasn't comparing my struggles to those of women with fewer resources. I was simply sharing that working mothers, at every level, face emotional challenges when it comes to balancing career and family." Whoopi sat back with a smirk that didn't reach her eyes. "So you're saying your emotional struggle of missing your kids while you're on a movie set getting paid millions is the same as a woman who has to choose between buying groceries and paying for childcare?" The tension in the studio was palpable now. The other co-hosts looked uncomfortable, unsure whether to jump in or let this play out. Jennifer could see the cameras focused on her, waiting for her response. She knew that whatever she said next would be scrutinized and replayed countless times. "That's not what I said, and you know it," Jennifer replied, her voice gaining strength. "What I said was that all working mothers deal with guilt and challenges. I never said they were identical challenges, but apparently according to you, because I have money, I'm not allowed to have feelings about missing important moments in my children's lives." Whoopi's eyes flashed. "What I'm saying is that when you have a platform like yours, maybe think about how your words sound to the millions of women who don't have the luxury of choice that you have. Maybe consider that your version of struggle isn't really struggle at all." Jennifer leaned forward now, matching Whoopi's energy. "So, because I've been successful, I should stay silent about the challenges I face as a mother? I should pretend that the guilt doesn't exist because other people have it worse? That's not how support works, Whoopi. That's how we silence each other." "Support?" Whoopi laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You want to talk about support? How about supporting the conversation by acknowledging your privilege instead of playing the victim? How about using your platform to highlight the real struggles instead of making it all about you?" The studio fell silent, except for the hum of the cameras and equipment. Jennifer could feel her heart racing, but she wasn't about to back down. Not when she felt like her integrity as a mother was being questioned on national television. "I do acknowledge my privilege, constantly. But I refuse to apologize for sharing my authentic experience as a working mother. If that makes you uncomfortable, That says more about you than it does about me, Jennifer said, her voice clear and unwavering. Whoopi's face darkened. Excuse me? What exactly does that say about me? Jennifer looked directly at her. It says that you're more interested in tearing down successful women than actually supporting the conversation about working mothers. It says that you think there's only room for one type of struggle to be valid, and that's dangerous thinking. The other co-hosts finally tried to intervene. Ladies, maybe we should, one of them started, but Whoopi cut her off with a sharp look. No, let Jennifer finish. I want to hear what else she thinks she knows about me, Whoopi said, her voice dripping with challenge. Jennifer took a deep breath. She could walk this back, apologize, and try to smooth things over. But something inside her refused to back down from what she believed was right. I think you've built a career on being the voice of reason and standing up for women, but right now, you're doing the opposite. You're using your position to shame another woman for sharing her truth, and that's not the Whoopi I grew up respecting. The words hit the room like thunder. Whoopi's face went through a range of emotions before settling on something cold and calculating. My truth? Your truth is complaining about first-world problems to women who are fighting real battles every day. Your truth is self-indulgent and out of touch. Jennifer felt something snap inside her. My truth is that I love my children, and I struggle with being away from them, just like every other working mother. If you can't understand that basic human emotion, because of the number in my bank account, then maybe you're the one who's out of touch. Whoopi stood up so quickly her chair scraped against the floor. How dare you sit in my studio and tell me I'm out of touch? Do you know what I've been through? Do you know what I've fought for? Jennifer remained seated, but her voice rose to match Whoopi's energy. I know exactly what you fought for, which is why I'm so disappointed that you're choosing to fight against me instead of fighting for the conversation that actually matters. The studio erupted in a chaos of voices as the other co-hosts tried desperately to regain control of the situation. But it was too late. The line had been crossed, and there was no going back. Whoopi pointed a finger at Jennifer, her face flush with anger. You don't get to come into my house and lecture me about disappointment. You don't get to sit there in your designer clothes and tell me how to support women. I've been supporting women since before you knew what a camera was. Jennifer stood up now, meeting Whoopi's challenge head-on. Then act like it. Stop tearing me down for sharing my experience and start building up the conversation that we should be having about all working mothers. The confrontation had reached a boiling point, with both women standing face-to-face across the table, neither willing to back down. The cameras continued rolling, capturing every word, every expression, every moment of this unprecedented clash of wills that was about to get even more intense. The producers behind the cameras were frantically signaling to cut to commercial, but Whoopi wasn't having it. She waved them off with a dismissive gesture, her eyes never leaving Jennifer's face. The power dynamic in the room had shifted completely, and it was clear that this was no longer about working mothers or privilege. This had become personal. You know what your problem is, Jennifer, Whoopi said, her voice dropping to a dangerously low tone. You think because you've sold some records and made some movies, you understand the real world. But you live in a bubble, and that bubble has made you blind to how ridiculous you sound. Jennifer's composure finally cracked, just slightly. My problem? My problem is that I came here expecting a conversation between two professional women, and instead I'm getting lectured by someone who apparently thinks she's the only person allowed to have an opinion on this show. The other co-hosts looked like they wanted to disappear into their chairs. One of them tried again to redirect the conversation. Maybe we should take a step back and... she began, but Whoopi whipped around to face her. No, we're not taking a step back. This is exactly the kind of conversation we need to have. Jennifer wants to talk about authentic experiences. Let's talk about authentic experiences. Whoopi turned back to Jennifer, her finger pointing accusingly. Let's talk about how you've reinvented yourself more times than Madonna, and now you want to play the struggling mother card. Jennifer's eyes flashed with genuine anger now. Reinvented myself? You mean evolved? You mean grown? You mean refused to be put in a box by people like you who think they get to decide who I am and what I'm allowed to feel? People like me? Whoopi's voice rose to a near shout. What exactly do you mean by people like me, Jennifer? Because that sounds like you're about to say something you really shouldn't say on national television. The studio fell deadly silent.